Good afternoon. Hey y'all, I am back still talking about the 9 environments. Today I am talking about the physical aspects, and I got a lot to cover, so I'm gonna get right into it. So when we are thinking about our physical environment, we're talking about the physical conditions and the material items in our living space and how they are affecting our body, our minds, our psyches, how they're affecting our energy and the general mood and energy of our living space. So first off, we're gonna start light, and we're gonna talk about the actual house or structure itself, how it's set up, how the rooms are, how much physical space you have access to. Are we sharing rooms? What's the general, setup of the house? If you're in a 1-bedroom, that's going to affect you. If you got plenty of space, if it's multiple people, all of those things are going to affect you and influence, again, your mind, your body, your spirit, the energy. So also, when we get into the physical, we're talking about the physical access we have to things and the conditions of those items. So it's going to be stuff like, beds. Do you have all your supplies? Do you have a washer and dryer? Do you have, what kind of clothes you have access to? All of these things are affecting us. So let's get into it. As far as with a bed, do you have a comfortable bed? Just on a simple level, do you have a comfortable bed? Because that affects our sleep. Are we getting proper sleep? Far as our supplies, do we have access, physical access? Not even do we have the money for it. Do we have the physical access to the stuff that we need? Do we have our toothpaste, our cleaning supplies, all of these things? Are they in the home? So these are going to affect, our motivation to leave the house, whether we want to leave the house, how we're viewing the outside world, all of those things. What access do we have? If you have a computer or a laptop or something in the home, or if you don't, that might make you have to go to the library, and that could come with its own, anxieties or whatever, whether you have transportation, whether you have a fear of being around people. So all of the things we have physical access to in the home are also going to affect what motivates us to leave the home, what's going to motivate us to make money, all of these types of things. Do you have air conditioning? Do you have microwaves? All of these things, if you have access in the condition of them, if you have, clothes that are not inspiring, you only have access to older clothes and stuff, that's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your thinking. It's going to affect how you showing up and all of those things. So sometimes it's for us to spring clean, get rid of broken things, all of these types of things. What physical access do we have to items, and what are the conditions of them? And again, that's going to affect what motivates us to leave the house and our feelings inside the house and outside the house. Far as things like that just bring us joy and bring us comfort and pleasure, we're looking at the artwork and the decor within the house. Is it inspiring? Is there no decor or anything? Do you feel imprisoned? What's going on with the physical look of the house? And when you get into that, you can get into things like color theory. What colors are going to promote happiness or peace or joy, and you might want to paint your walls those colors or bring more items in of those colors or stuff like that. Also, when we get into the decor, we're also thinking about the feng shui and the general flow of your energy, and how things are making you feel and affecting you. We're going to stay on topic. Even with different decor and stuff, we're going to look at things like altars and cultural symbols, and if you have pictures of your ancestors or loved ones that passed away, or even living ones, all of these things are going to affect how you're thinking, what you're thinking about. It's going to affect your imagination and then your manifestations also. So if you have a lot of cultural stuff in the home, naturally your mind and your body and your spirit are going to be leaning into or geared towards those types of things. So this is just something we can be mindful of, whether we have them or we don't. being mindful of the type of energy we want in our home, and putting those things. Do you have things that are going, if you're in a spiritual community, do you have symbolism around that will remind you of certain things? Or just being mindful of all of that. So then we also going to get into things like the cleanliness of the actual living space. So on one end, if your living space is dirty or cluttered or unorganized, these things can be triggering if you have control over them, or whether you're dealing with other people that are in the home. They can mess with our self-worth if we're in a situation where it's like not clean. We thinking that this is our only way of life, and then we go out into the world, it affects our self-worth. These things can be, if it's not clean or disorganized, it's chaos, it can be stressful, and it can trigger that stress hormone, the cortisol, and all of that, just by you not being able to find the things that you need, which might in turn make you always late, or just different stuff. So being mindful of that. It could also make you feel depressed or stuck. If you're just in a situation that is chaotic or cluttered or dirty, or it can make you feel stuck if you don't know how to get out of it, or you don't have, those housemates that are cooperative and sharing in those tasks. It can also reaffirm negative behaviors. Just like if we're thinking from a child's perspective, if we have parents that are constantly leaving food out or not cleaning, it reaffirms those negative behaviors, beliefs, and then they in turn adapt to those types of things. On the other hand, if it's like a situation where it's super OCD and you can't touch anything, you feel imprisoned, if all the walls are white or gray, it feels like a hospital, it feels like a prison. It can feel cold or unlived in. There's no loving energy. Everything just has to be perfect. So kind of want to make sure that we're clean, but we also have to have a balance to where we're not just so, unless that's the focus you want, We're creating the life and energy that we would like to experience. For some, they want the calm and reserve and more peaceful. They find peace in certain things, whereas some people might want a colorful, vibrant home. So just being mindful of those things. Far as even in the physical with our cleanliness, we're thinking about stuff like bugs, the pests, our pets, and the dander and hair that come from them. All of those things are physical aspects that are then affecting our physicals as well. So if you have dust or bacteria or molds, all of these things can have psychedelic effects or affect our psyche, and can cause hallucinations, can cause just feelings of, if you're seeing it every day, depression and all these types of things. So all of these things are affecting our psyche. Even if we're talking about like stuff like pests, that can trigger different fear emotions and anxiety and shame and guilt. If you don't want people to come over your house because of the conditions of your house, all of these things are affecting us, just on a basic level and on a deeper level. All of these things are affecting us. Can cause us sickness, can cause us allergies. All of these things within our physical environment, whether we be too clean, not clean enough, whether it be dirty, inspiring, all of these things are affecting all of us. So when we get into electronics and the interactions that we receive from our appliances and things like that, and the relationship we have to them. So we're thinking about, from one aspect, we're thinking about the radiation, the radiation and EMFs that we're constantly picking up off. But I will say this disclaimer, we are constantly feeding electronics, and they are constantly feeding us, much like with AI. We're constantly feeding it. When we are uploading new things, we're affecting these algorithms and the intelligence that it has. Same thing with our electronics. Like if there were no people, there would be no need, no use, and there would be no energy being put out to then be harnessed. So we're thinking about it from that perspective, the electronics, the electromagnetic interactions we're having, but we're also thinking about, the sense of value and worth that we are putting on certain things. And that is going to, when we get into things like the stimulants, how it's stimulating us and how we're stimming. So when I think about stuff like that, again, we're constantly receiving and outputting information, consciously, subconsciously, all of these things. So we're going to get into a little bit of, like, if we have that chirping alarm, for some that could be a immediate trigger and they're going to hurry up and change that. For some it might be a signal that you're still alive. For some it's just you done tuned it out. All of these things though are stimulating us, providing stimulations, whether they be irritations or motivations, constantly stimming. Whether you are one to like have that white noise from the fan, you have to have it. Not even so much you have to have the stimulant of the cool air and it's circulating, because some people will have the fan going and be under 3-4 blankets. So it's the stimulant of the white noise. Same thing with our TVs. A lot of us just have put them on for background noise. You might not necessarily be watching it, but you put the music on in the background, or you just the people talking. All of these things are affecting our motivations to go out, to stay in, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about things. So thinking about electronics and appliances from the access perspective, do we have access, and what is our relationship with them? How are we empowering them? How are they empowering us? Or do they have negative effects? Are we buying into the, the negative side of things, such as the dualities of life? So, yeah, when we get into the physical, even, for some of us within the culture, that little light being on above the stove, that is a stimulant. It provides us with security and protection. You might turn it on and go in your room and you're never going back out there, but you leave it on just in case, because you might need to feel safe, or you might need to see, or whatever. So these are all stimulants. They're providing some type of stimulation. In that case, it's the security blanket of the light being on. So yeah, with all of the physical aspects of the home, how the space is flowing, the people in it, how much space and access you have to certain things, all of these things, we're just being mindful of what we are sensing. So from the visual inputs, what are we seeing, and how are the things that we're seeing affecting us? It might be for us to, put up some artwork or change some furniture around, get rid of some things and stuff like that. What is the visual input telling us? From a hearing perspective, that's like that chirping alarm, or if we have music, the people, we're being mindful of what we're sensing as far as our ears. What are we hearing from, different things? Whether you feel or hear the vibrations and stuff, we're thinking about what we're hearing. From a smelling and breathing in perspective, we're being mindful of what we're smelling, whether it be trash or we got candles. We're taking into consideration the physical aspects that affect our senses. Might be for us to get some incense or some sage or stuff, so we're breathing in and creating new energy within the home. Even from a tasting perspective, what foods do you have access to? Not can you afford food or anything like that. What foods are you giving yourself access to? So if you are being intentional and you have access to fruits and vegetables, you have a fruit basket sitting out, or if you have access to junk food, these are going to affect your decisions, your decision making, again, what you're going out for, and all of these types of things. So we're just being mindful of what we're tasting. Even from a feeling perspective, what sensory pleasures are we receiving from our feelings? Whether we have soft carpets or hard beds or hardwood, what physical senses are we satisfying? Our bedding, is it soft? Do we like soft stuff, or do we like more of a firm pillow or something like that? So we're thinking about the textures, our towels, how everything is making us feel. That's part of that stemming too. And then from just a general sense, our sensing, what are we feeling? What are all of these things making us feel? What are all of these people and everything in it making us feel? So yeah, what downloads are we receiving from our atmosphere, our physical atmosphere? So we're just being mindful of all of these things and how they're playing together. And when we get into the physical, we hear stuff like, women and girlfriends making the house a home. So this is kind of a lot of men might not be geared to think about these things, but women, we just kind of are more naturally intuitive about these things or drawn to these things, the aesthetics, the feelings of what it is. So might be a good investment to get you somebody to help, or people, roommates, whatever, to make the house a home, depending on the overall feel and look and everything you're going for. So again, yeah, all of these things affect why we go out. If you got a broken washer and dryer, it's gonna make you go spend money at the laundromat. It affects our spending. If you don't have what you need in your home, that's gonna make you have to go hustle or go to the store or whatever. So we're kind of curating our personal living space to have access to whatever it is, whether it be space and land so you have access to nature, or whether it be the actual physical items within the home. So just taking a look at the physical stuff and how it's affecting our physical, our mind, our energy. I think that's about it for today. I think I covered it. I'm glad I didn't go off on no complete tangents. Everybody have a good day. I love y'all. See you next time.